Hey there, this is Tiff here from Elegant EDU. I'm going to show you how to make a Google Classroom banner. So I've got a template right here, but if you were starting this from scratch, then you would want to go to your Google Drive. And then once you're in Google Drive, you're going to want to click on New. And then you'll see there's Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. You want to go to More for Google Drawings. Go ahead and click on that one. And then by default, you're going to be given this big canvas, but you're going to want to change the size of that. So we're going to go to File, and then Page Setup, Custom, and then we want to do pixels, 800 by 200. Apply. And this is going to be the size that we need for our Google Classroom banner. Now I already have a template set up already with those dimensions, so we're going to be using that one for this demo. If you would like to get this template, you can go to the description and get a link to get it from my Teacher Pay Teacher store. All right, so I've set it up so that it goes along with where the stream, classwork, people, and grades are in Google Classroom. And that way, when you're creating your banner, you know exactly where the name is going to overlay, and you know exactly where the Google Meet link image is going to show up, and all the other stuff in case you want to point the students to click on classwork first or something, or to click on that generate meet link to meet you if you're doing this for an office hours banner. So that's why I've put this here where it says name overlays here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of this clip art that I've put in here to build our banner. Now, an easier way to work this is going to be to first zoom to 100% so we can see everything, and then zoom in just a little bit more so it's a little bit bigger. So I went to 100% and now I'm going to just zoom in a little bit, and that makes it easier to see everything. So what I like about Google Drawings is that you can put things on the outside of your canvas, and those things will not show up on your final image, because the only thing that shows up on your final image is what's on the canvas itself. And right now our canvas is just what you see here with this blue gradient background. Now if you want to change the background, you can right click and click on background, and I have it set to gradient, but you can go to custom and you can change the background to any color you want. If you know the hexadecimal number of the color that you want, you can use that. I'm using this color that you see here because it tends to work a little bit better with the overlay that ends up happening when you put it into Google Classroom, which you'll see later. All right, so our first steps are that we want to, kind of have a plan of what we want to put in there. And in this template, what I have is I have all of the stuff sort of organized into different tabs. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just right clicking on the tab and then bringing that tab to the front, because what that does is shows me everything that I have on that tab. So I have everything in here grouped together on this tab, and that makes it just easy for me to organize all of my clip art that I want to use in my banners. So if you were going to do one for like working from home, some of these furniture might be good. I'm actually going to make one with just some tech stuff on it because I'm teaching art, so I just want to do like a studio art Google Classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this computer here, and I'm not going to drag it up to the banner because everything here is all grouped together. As you can see, the big blue marquee box around everything. So if I drag that up there, it's actually going to still be grouped with everything in here. And plus I want to be able to use the computer again at some point. So I'm going to click on Control or Command D, and then that's going to make a copy of the computer that isn't grouped with everything that I can drag up, or I can right click and click on Copy, and then I can go and click on Paste, which does the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do Control or Command D, and then now I can drag this up into my banner. I'm going to resize the computer, and you can see here I'm just showing you how, like, if I were to drag that one up, it would be grouped with everything. So you definitely don't want to do that. If you're going to group your stuff together like this, you definitely don't want to drag it like that. All right, so I've got my little computer in here, and now I'm going to pull on the corner in order to resize it. But when I do that, I'm going to make sure that I hold down the Shift key, because that's going to keep the aspect ratio of my object and not let it get all wonky. And then I'm just going to kind of position it as close as I can to where the name is. Now, a lot of people will sit there and put the name of their classroom in the banner, and that's kind of redundant because you're already going to have the name there by default. Google's going to put your name there on the top. So I never do that. I just decorate the banner. All right, so we've got a little computer there. I'm going to move it over a little bit just in case I want to maybe point out to the kids to go to classwork. I have that space there to do that. All right, so I've got that. Now I'm going to go and right click on the accessories tab and choose order bring to front so I can see everything that I have in my accessories. And since I'm teaching art, I think I'm going to go ahead and grab something that goes along with that. This little color wheel would be good, and I'm going to do Control or Command D, and then I can drag that up, move my computer over a little bit, and then I'm going to position that under the computer. I can right click and choose Order, Send to Back, and now it's under the computer. Then I might grab this little, I'm going to grab this little guy and Control or Command D and bring him up into my composition as well. I'll just sit him right here next to the computer. It might be good to maybe put a shadow on some of this because that will ground it a little bit more in the space. So it's really easy to do that. You're just going to go to Format, Format Options, and then click on Drop Shadow. And you can toggle the different types, the drop shadow to be in to show up differently. I just went ahead with the default because I thought that looked fine. And a really cool thing is, say I wanted to have that drop shadow, the same one that I have on the computer, on other objects in my composition. Well, it's really nice because what I can do is just click onto the computer, and then I can click on to the paint format. And what that does is that copies the formatting of that shadow, and then I can apply that to other objects in my composition. So now I've applied that shadow to this little color wheel piece of paper, okay? And I can do that again. I can click on that and then apply that shadow to my little wooden model guy. So now everything has the same properties in terms of drop shadow. And then I'm just going to kind of move things around, position them the way that I think they will look good. And in thinking about what else do I need, I think it might be good to maybe have a cup of coffee because we always, as teachers, you know, we need our coffee. So I'm going to do Control or Command D and grab the coffee and bring it on up. And then set it into the background. Now, you'll notice that now I can't click on the coffee because the computer is in front and it's taking it, the whole marquee box around the computer is now blocking the coffee. So what I can do is I can just move the computer out of the way temporarily, and then that will allow me to move the cup of coffee a little bit if I need to. So I just move the computer out of the way, and then I can reposition the coffee, and then I can move the computer back. And the computer still keeps its same properties of being of its order, you know, so it's above the paper and in front of the coffee. All right, so I'm going to grab these little pastel crayons, do Control or Command D, and bring those into my composition. And just position things the way that I think that they might look nice. I could add some decor to this. I'm going to go to Order, bring to front, and go to the decor section. I could put like a little whiteboard there in the background. There's some other items in here that I could put in there. It's just depending on you know, what kind of a banner I'm making. I don't want to make it too busy though. So I think I'm just going to go back to accessories and maybe find just maybe one more thing that I could put in. I think maybe this fishbowl would be kind of cute. So I'm going to do Control or Command D, grab the fishbowl, bring it on in, and resize it, making sure I'm holding down Shift, and then setting it, I can set it all the way to the back for now, and then go ahead and put the other pieces to the back that need to be underneath it. And then I can kind of play around with moving it around. And this is kind of cute having the little fish here. He's helping me teach. So he really likes art, this fish. All right, and then, you know, you're just kind of tweaking your stuff and figuring out where you want to put things. And then the next thing that you could do is you could add something to point to classwork. Like if you want kids to click on classwork first, I could use this little pointer thing, or I can also, if I don't want to use that, I could actually go up to my menu at the top and I could insert an arrow. So I can do insert shape, and find an up arrow to do. Click on that, and then just position that in the right place. Now this particular arrow it has a blue fill and a black outline, so I can change the color of that easily enough. I think I'm going to go with a yellow that's in the Google Classroom to try to make it cohesive. And then I can take the outline off of it by clicking on the little pencil and going to transparent. All right, so now I have a little arrow that's pointing right to classwork, and that can be helpful to guide students where you want them to go. And I can add that shadow to that arrow too, the same shadow that I did on everything else by using that paint format option. I don't really like it here on the fish. I think it makes it look a little too dark. So I think I'm gonna take that off. But I can go ahead and put it on my crayons, and that does look better. It really does help to have a shadow. It just really grounds your things in your composition to make it look a little bit more realistic. Everything doesn't look like it's just sort of floating in the air. Now I'm just kind of, you know, tweaking things, moving things around a little bit, which can be kind of fun. All right, so I can also add that shadow to my little arrow and see how that looks. and I think that looks good. It makes it stand out a little bit so that it draws their eyes to that. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert some word art to give them a little bit of a message. And when you're in word art, you want to make sure that you click on Shift Enter for multiple lines. So I'm going to do Welcome to Art, click Shift Enter to get to the second line. And then I'm just going to type, please click on classwork. I'm going to do Shift Enter to get that to the third line. And then Enter. And I can resize this by holding down the Shift key and making it bigger or smaller. And I'm going to move it over. And right now, I don't really like this font, so I'm going to go up to the fonts and switch it out. I think I'm going to go with this one. And then I'm going to fix the fill and the outline. So when you're using word art, you get a fill color and you get an outline color. That's why I like word art better than just doing text here, because you get you get a lot more options in the format. So right now it had a blue fill and a black outline. So I took the outline off and then I just turned it to a black fill. And I can make that bigger, you know, kind of play around with where I want to put it, making sure that it's not going to interfere with where the name is going to overlay. And you're just kind of tweaking all of this until you get it right, and then you're going to delete that part where it says name overlay. And then you're going to click on File, Download PNG. So that's when you're done with everything. You're going to click on File, Download PNG. And then once you have that file downloaded, you'll be able to go to your Google Classroom. You can select Upload Photo. And you can either drag it into this photo space here, or you can select a photo from your computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and select from my computer, and you can see that it says Google Classroom. I'm in Downloads, and this says Google Classroom Banner Builder File. So I'm going to double click that, and then that's going to pop it in right there. And I can see that I have some tweaking that I need to do. It's a little bit. Everything's a little bit low. I probably need to move some things up a little bit so I can go back to my banner file and I can tweak some of those things, and then I can download it again as a ping. Now you see there's kind of like a dark overlay over it. That's because Google does that. There's nothing you can do about that. It's to up the readability so that people can see the name of the class and everything, and you really can't do anything about that. So yeah, that's it. That's how you create a Google Classroom banner. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this one.